Once upon a time, the royal bells echoed through the grand palace, spreading an exciting whisper across the kingdom. Today, Princess Sonorita will visit the royal marketplace. Golden sunlight danced on her chariot as the princess stepped down gracefully. People bowed deeply, their hearts blooming with admiration. She smiled gently, walking through colorful stalls filled with silk, sweets, and shimmering jewels. But amid the laughter and music, a mysterious man appeared. A basket balanced on his head. His voice rang out, "Flowers, fresh dahlias, and roses. But beware, buys. Whoever buys them shall also buy sorrow and tears, for a prince's soul is trapped within their fragrance." The crowd fell silent. No one dared to buy. But Princess Sonorita's kind heart was touched. She could not understand what sorrow and tears meant, yet the flower's beauty bewitched her. She softly ordered, "Buy the entire basket. Plant them in my garden." Days passed. The flowers bloomed brighter each morning, their colors like jewels, their scent like dreams. But with every new blossom, the princess's heart grew heavier, restless. At night, she would wake suddenly, whispering, "Who are you?" "The prince I see in my dreams." A man with eyes full of pain would reach out to her, then vanish into the mist. One dawn, before the sun had kissed the mountains, the princess hurried to her garden. There, among the glowing flowers, a white rabbit with crystal blue eyes hopped joyfully. She lifted it gently in her hands and gasped. Those eyes were not of an animal. They held a soul, a longing, the very same eyes from her dreams.
From that day, the rabbit visited her every evening, mischievous and playful. It stole her ribbons, her handkerchiefs, even the king's portrait once. The courtiers laughed. The princess has lost her heart to a rabbit. But the princess only smiled softly, keeping her secret close. Then one day the rabbit disappeared. Days turned to weeks, and Princess Sonorita's laughter faded. One rainy evening, clouds darkened the skies and the scent of wet earth filled the air. Everyone hid indoors except the princess. She slipped quietly into the rain, her heart aching with hope. Raindrops drenched her golden gown as she wandered barefoot through the garden, whispering, "Will you ever come back to me?" And then, a rustle among the bushes. Her breath caught. Her eyes widened. Through the shimmering rain stood the silver-white rabbit, its fur glistening like moonlight. Tears filled her eyes as a trembling smile lit her face. She stepped closer.
The rabbit did not move. Its blue eyes gazed into hers like a soul calling to another.
She lifted it in her trembling arms. Its fur was cold, but the moment it touched her heart, a warm peace surrounded them both. "Why do you leave me?" she whispered. "I wait for you every day." The rabbit blinked, touched its nose to her palm, a silent promise. But after that night, the rabbit never returned. The princess fell ill, her heart drowning in sorrow. The royal healer said, "She needs joy. Music, laughter, and celebration will heal her soul." So the king summoned singers, dancers, and storytellers. The palace filled with melodies and tales. But the princess lay still, staring into emptiness, her tears shining like pearls.
One day, far away in a small forest hut, two old sisters heard of the princess's sadness. One was lame, the other bent with age. The bent one said, "Let me go to the palace. Perhaps my stories can bring her joy." The lame one sighed. "Many storytellers have tried, but you may go, sister." She packed a corn flatbread, 2 roasted fish, took her stick, and set out on a long journey. After a tiring day, she reached an old millstone and whispered, "I'll rest here a while." But as she closed her eyes, she felt a nudge at her elbow. The ground split open, and a donkey with 2 golden baskets rose from the earth.
The baskets were empty, but the donkey was led by invisible hands, hands with no body. They patted the donkey and it ran across a green meadow. When it returned, the old woman quickly climbed into a basket. The earth rumbled, and down she went, the wind whistling past her ears. When she opened her eyes, she stood before a magnificent underground palace. Inside, invisible hands offered her the world's finest dishes. She ate gratefully, then rested on a feather bed and drifted into dreams. At dawn, she saw a small rabbit playing in the garden. It leapt into the fountain and transformed into a handsome prince. He didn't see her. He picked up a golden comb, brushed his curls, and whispered sadly, "O mirror, O golden comb, I have searched every land for my beloved, but where shall I find the maiden who waits for me?"
Then he jumped into the fountain and became a rabbit once again. The old woman gasped. "A prince under a spell?" She returned to the palace, hurried to the king, and said, "I bring a story that is true, one that can heal your daughter's heart." In the princess's chamber, surrounded by silk curtains, the old woman began to tell her tale. At first, Sonorita didn't listen, but when the word rabbit was spoken, her eyes sparkled. She smiled and whispered, "Bring me breakfast." When the tale reached the part of the enchanted prince, Sonorita rose from her bed, glowing with life. "Grandmother," she said joyfully, "take me to that palace. I must see who that rabbit truly is." She called her maid, and together they followed the old woman. By evening, they reached the old millstone. The donkey appeared once more. The baskets lowered, and in moments they descended into the glowing underground palace. The invisible hands guided them through glittering halls. Music echoed faintly in the air, as if the palace awaited its queen. Then, the maid screamed. On the marble floor lay a handsome prince, pale as snow, lifeless. The princess froze. It was him, the prince from her dreams. She knelt beside him, tears falling from her eyes. The first drop fell on his heart, and a faint beat returned. The second fell on his lips, and he smiled. The third touched his forehead, and his eyes opened. He sat up and whispered, "Thank you, kind-hearted maiden. The cruel sorcerer turned me into a rabbit. Your tears have broken the spell." He took her hand, and suddenly joyful music filled the palace. The invisible hands became people again, cooks, musicians, and noble guests. The palace shimmered with celebration. The princess asked softly, "Oh, Prince, what is this festival for?" He smiled. "It is my wedding." Her heart trembled. "With whom?" He laughed. "With the princess of the neighboring kingdom." She blushed and whispered, "But I am a princess too." He bowed deeply. "Yes," he said, smiling. "You shall be my bride." And as the music swelled, they walked hand in hand into the grand hall. Goblets were raised, blessings showered upon them, and their souls finally found peace.
From that day, the enchanted palace was no longer buried beneath the earth. It stood proudly upon a tall cliff by the blue sea, shimmering under the golden sun, where love had broken the spell of sorrow. Sparkles, and so Princess Sonorita and the Rabbit Prince lived happily ever after, in a palace born of magic, love, and tears that turned into pearls.